Let's learn about demons and see what the Bible has to say about them, shall we? This morning I was reading in Mark 5, and this is the most detailed description in the Bible we have of a demon-possessed man and how it operates. So let's read it. They came to the other side of the sea, to the country of Gerasene, and when Jesus had stepped out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. He lived among the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain. He had often been bound with shackles and chains, but he wrenched the chains apart. He broke the shackles in pieces. No one had the strength to subdue him. Night and day, among the tombs and on the mountains, he was always crying out and cutting himself with stones. And when he saw Jesus from afar, he ran and fell down before him. And crying out with a loud voice, he said, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I adjure you by God, do not torment me." For he was saying to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." And Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" He replied, "My name is Legion, for we are many." And he begged him earnestly to not send him out of the country. Now a great herd of pigs was feeding there on the hillside, and they begged him, saying, "Send us to the pigs, let us enter them." So he gave them permission, and the unclean spirits came out and entered the pigs. And the herd, numbering about 2,000, rushed down the steep bank into the sea and drowned in the sea. So let's break this down. He was possessed for a long time. He wore no clothes, and he lived like a subhuman or a wild animal. He lived among the dead and decaying, dwelling in the tombs. He had supernatural strength, breaking the chains, and he was tormented and self-destructive. And he had uncontrollable behavior. All Jesus had to say was, "Come out of the man, unclean spirit." The demons, they tried to resist by saying, "Jesus, Son of the Most High God." Now, this was an ancient superstition that if you called someone by their real or true name, that somehow you had spiritual power over them, but this was not true. So according to the superstitions of the day, that response from them was like firing an artillery round at Jesus. But they failed. So them addressing him by his full name wasn't a confession of Jesus' dignity, but it was a desperate attempt to gain control over him. But the demon said, "What have I to do with you? I implore you, by God, do not torment me." So it would have been torment for the demon to just leave its host, to not have a host to occupy. That is the torment for a demon. A host for a demon is it's like a weapon they can use to try to attack God. Their main goal is to just wreck the image of God. But Christians are covered by the blood of Jesus. But demons still deceive and intimidate us with fear and unbelief. I mean, that can always come in no matter how close to God you are. You can always have fear and unbelief come in, but that's what we have to try to stay strong with. Sorry, I'm kind of sick this morning. I don't know how I caught a cold in the middle of the summer, but whatever. Anyway, one phrase is used 365 times in the Bible. Do not be afraid. Not those exact words, but variations of it. 365 times. God tells us, do not be afraid. One for each day of the year. So what he's saying is we have the peace of God on our side as Christians. Jesus said, "What is your name?" And the demon said, "My name is Legion, for we are many." A Roman legion was about 6,000 men, so they were trying to intimidate Jesus, saying, "We are many." It's not the actual demon's name, Legion. He's saying, "We are many, we are organized, we are combative, and we're ready to come against you." That's what they were saying by saying, "We are Legion." They were trying to intimidate Jesus with a large number. Now, it wasn't important for Jesus to know their names. If it was, he could have demanded name, rank, serial number, but he didn't. Jesus didn't play into their superstitions of the time. He was already greater than them. So in dealing with spiritual warfare, we can't get caught up in foolish superstitions like that. The authority and the blood of Jesus that's all we need. Prayer and fasting. That's, I think in Matthew's is what it says. That's how you can cast out demons. Some things will not happen unless you have prayer and fasting. As Christians, fasting is not an option. It's a necessity. Remember that. Satan is so hell-bent on torment and mischief and evil that he would rather torment the pigs than nothing at all. It's ridiculous. But even for that, they needed Jesus' permission to enter the pigs. It says, once he gave them permission, they entered the swine. This is how much power we also as Christians possess over demonic forces and Satan. Immediately, as the demons entered the herd of pigs, they ran off the cliff and jumped into the sea. That's how destructive they are. They jumped into the sea and drowned. That's what they wanted to do to the man. They just wanted to destroy him. Steal, kill, and destroy. That's their main goals, always. Now, like I was saying about prayer and fasting to cast out demons, if you look back at Matthew 17, when Jesus is healing the boy with a demon, after he rebukes him, the disciples came up to him and they said, "Why could we not cast it out?" And he said to them, "Because of your little faith. For truly I say to you, if you have faith like the grain of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. But this kind does not go out but by prayer and fasting." Now, that last sentence, "but this kind does not go out by prayer and fasting," that is key. Matthew 17:21, that is key. And reading this Bible that I have, I'm going to have to get a new one, because let me show you something. "Have faith like the grain of a mustard seed, and you will say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you." Now, where's the rest? Where's Matthew 17:21? 21's not there. So as you can see, unfortunately, some translations of the Bible have specifically left that last sentence out. And that's why it's so key. It has been removed. So you have to be careful. You have to do your research. You have to dig deep, because prayer and fasting is the key. It is the key. So keep that in mind. If you're dealing with something, if you're struggling with something, start digging into the Word, and God will speak to you and give you a revelation. Peace, brothers.